Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. The late astronomer Carl Sagan once said, extraordinary claims requires extraordinary evidence. Well, as I've been talking about the last few podcasts, I believe we have the extraordinary evidence, and that I believe that we now meet the criteria set forth by Carl Sagan. Of course, as we all know, Carl Sagan has become like a godlike figure in the debunker cult. They always turn to him and they always say, "Hey, you need extraordinary evidence, or we don't believe you." Well, we now have the extraordinary evidence. But to this point, no one in the debunker field has talked about this, what we're talking about here. And I can expect this. When they do, they're going to make fools out of themselves if they attempt to debunk it, because they are not going to be able to. Because as I talked about, I made it very clear in the previous podcasts that this is undeniable evidence. There's no question about it now. We have it all, and it's a done deal. There's some sort of alien presence on this planet. We don't know what they are, where they come from, or what they want, but we know one thing for sure is that they are here. There is no denying it anymore. And we do have the extraordinary evidence to prove it. And we're going to talk about that today. But before we do, I just want to go through some things that Stanton Friedman, the late nuclear physicist, once said about Sagan. He believes Sagan, as well as people who subscribe to SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, he once called them a cult, and I believe that they are, because they believe in things where they actually have no proof, but they won't ever look at the evidence that's right there in front of their faces, that's here on Earth right now, that shows us that there's other beings among us, that there's other life forms out there, other intelligent forms of life. And now we have the evidence to prove it to them, and it's going to be interesting to see as time goes on how they react to this. And I can't wait. I cannot wait till at some point it's going to happen, folks. So be ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, I was reading some of this book here today by Stanton Friedman, Flying Saucers in Science, and he talked about Sagan a little bit. I just want to bring this up where he mentions about Sagan's extraordinary claims comments. Anyway, it says here, of course, back in the 80s, Carl Sagan was on the Cosmos TV show on PBS. It was a big hit. It was actually seen by 600 million people back in the 1980s. And here in this book by Stanton Friedman, Flying Saucers in Science, he writes, on the Encyclopedia Galactica segment, in which he trashes the Betty and Barney Hill case and Marjorie Fish's excellent work, he says, "What counts is not what seems plausible, not what we would like to believe, not what one or two witnesses claim, but only what is supported by hard evidence. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence." Stanton goes on to say that we ufologists have provided such evidence. The SETI people have provided none. Amazingly, Sagan's next statement was, "There must be other civilizations far older and more advanced than ours." That's an incredible comment, thinking about when you consider what he just said, because as Friedman now points out, says neither he nor any of the other SETI cultists have provided any evidence, much less extraordinary evidence, to support this extraordinary claim. It's incredible, isn't it, when you really think about this? So Sagan, as well as a lot of the debunkers today, they go around saying things like that there's no evidence at all. There's no extraordinary evidence whatsoever to support the assertion that there's some presence on this planet. But we do believe for certain that there's civilizations out there far older and more advanced than we are. Now, how do you know that? I mean, you're talking about requiring extraordinary evidence. Where's your extraordinary evidence for that? Not that I don't believe them, because obviously I do believe in that, right? But how come they're able to say that without talking about the evidence that we have here? As I've talked about before, I already thought we had the evidence, but now this Las Vegas alien evidence, that this is the extraordinary evidence. This has to constitute that. What else could it constitute? It actually is the extraordinary evidence that we have now, that we could move forward with, that would shut these people up finally for once and for all. And that's what I want to go through here today. I want to talk about that extraordinary evidence. I made up a bunch of different bullet points, and I'm going to go through them one by one. Let's start here with number one. Now, as we all know, all this started back on April 30th, May 1st of 2023. As we know, the first thing that happened was that there was an object that was seen falling from the sky. And that was captured on body cam footage from a Las Vegas police officer as he was interviewing someone on the street. You actually could see that there was some kind of an object falling from the sky. We were told by some experts at the time, including Mick West, right? Remember, keep in mind, Mick West said it was a meteor. We now know that it was not a meteor. So that was the first thing that happened. The second thing that we have here is the dash cam footage from a police vehicle shows that the object has no heat signal. As we now know, crime scene reconstruction expert Scott Roeder laid it all out for us recently. He showed that there was footage, dash cam footage that was captured from a police car, and it was filmed in different filters, and one of the filters was a infrared filter, and it shows that this object had no heat signature, so it was not hot. As you look at this video that I'm showing on the screen right now, you can see that you can't see it under the certain infrared filter. The only way to do something like this is actually have cameras that are filming different images at the same time using different filters, and this object here shows, or this image here shows that you can't see it. It's invisible because there's no heat signature, and Scott Roeder has now pointed that out to us. And then number 3, security camera footage captures the object descending toward the Earth while making a strange oscillating sound. As we know, there was some footage that was taken from like a Ring camera on someone's home. It shows the object coming down from the sky, and we could hear a sound. It does not sound like anything that would be a rock falling from the sky. As Scott Roeder points out, most of the time you don't even hear the meteors when they're coming down. This thing was making some kind of oscillating sound, which, as far as I'm concerned, means that it was being controlled somehow. So they have that evidence on top of it. And then number 4, Angel Kenmore calls 911 and reports 8 to 10 foot tall alien creatures in his family's backyard. Okay, let's just play the little audio segment so we can remember what the terrified sound in his voice, the stunned and astonishment that Angel was experiencing, feeling at the time.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
So there we have that. Number 5, police arrive at the scene and find astonished members of the Kenmore family. Police investigate the backyard. Body cam footage of police entering the backyard has not been made public. Yes, as we all know, there is video footage out there that shows police showing up at the home. Apparently, it took them at least an hour after the 911 call was made. So we don't know what happened. Did the beings escape the yard? Were they still there when the police arrived? What does the police body cam footage show? We don't know because it's never been released. I think a lot of us would like to know what was on that body cam footage. Okay, moving on. Number 6, Las Vegas podcaster Doug Papa learns of the incident and talks about it on his YouTube channel. Yes, Doug Papa, as we all know, was the person that really got the ball rolling on this. Apparently, the Kenmore family was not interested in making this public. It was only made public because of the efforts of Doug Papa, the podcaster in Las Vegas. As we all know, Doug Papa later went on to say that he believed that it was a hoax. I think that what was going on with Doug is that he probably was frustrated because the family wasn't returning calls to him, wasn't talking to him anymore, and I think he became frustrated and just determined that it was a hoax. He never really offered any proof, any sort of concrete evidence to show that this was a hoax, because obviously, as we now know, it definitely was not a hoax. Doug Papa now is going to go down in history as someone who pushed for this story, try to get more information on it. He's the one that pushed it into the spotlight. It was if not for Doug Papa's efforts, we probably wouldn't have known about this. I don't know if this family would have ever talked to anyone in the public about it. And it was only after his diligence in pushing for this story, trying to get information about it, that's why we know about it. And as we know, number 7, the local Las Vegas TV channel KLAS, they televised a report on the incident. And that was the only reason they were reporting on that incident is because Doug Papa was looking into this. Word got out, word leaked, and then it became a thing. It took a while. It wasn't until June until the whole world started hearing about this, right? And then that's when it started to explode. Number 8, Angel Kenmore, he released a video onto YouTube on June 8th, 2023, explaining what he and his family experienced. He presented a video he said was filmed during the early morning hours of May 1st, 2023, that shows one of the creatures he saw. The video starts milliseconds before the entity appears above and behind the fence. Yes, that's a lot of people out there, including myself, had missed this. He actually started that video right when that thing was about to appear in front of the fence. The evidence now that shows 100% guaranteed that there was something there that night. That was the portion of the video that Angel was trying to tell us about. That's what he was saying. That's where you could see it. He said you can't see it that well, but there's no question about it. There's something there. Okay, and then number 9, later in June, crime scene reconstruction expert Scott Roeder appears on the Quark Zone Extraterrestrial Reality podcast and provides evidence that shows a creature moving in the yard toward armed family members Angel, Joshua, and Bobby as they enter the yard. Of course, Angel and Joshua are brothers. Bobby's the father. It was filmed by family matriarch Contra Kenmore. Although Roeder is certain this evidence corroborates what the Kenmore family reported with regard to alien beings, it was apparently not enough to move any needles, as we now know. It wasn't enough, unfortunately. I thought that evidence showed that there was definitely something moving there, something unnatural, but it wasn't enough. It did not meet the criteria established by Sagan, I guess we could say. But of course, as we all know now, that was still coming. That was yet to reveal itself. Number 10, the Kenmore family in September appeared on a segment of an Inside Edition episode. We learned that Angel, brother Joshua, and father Bobby all saw the creatures. They drew pictures of what they saw. Angel said he noticed a strange light hovering by the head of a being. Bobby said the beings had protuberances atop their heads like antennas. Yes, on the father's drawing, there were, looks like antennas on the head. And now if you look closely at this image, I'm going to pull it up here on the screen. I think what you're looking at in this one little area is an antenna, just as described by Bobby Kenmore. There's no question about it as far as I'm concerned. Everything that this family has been telling us has been the absolute truth. And here you can see, if you look really hard, really close, it looks like this is one of those protuberances or antennas, as was described by Bobby Kenmore when he was showed us that drawing. Okay, moving forward. Number 11, popular YouTuber Sherman in March 2024 released a video where he interviews Joshua and Angel Kenmore. They say they had encounters with men in black and that they experienced poltergeist-like activity at their home since the night of the incident. They also tell Sherman that factions of the government, including Homeland Security, are still investigating the case. Yes, of course they are. Of course Homeland Security is still investigating the case because they know, as well as we know, that there were alien creatures in their backyard that night. That's why they're investigating that case. That's why the police say they completely believe the family, because they all know that there was something there. And now we all know that there was something definitely there. 100% guaranteed, just like Scott Roeder said. Okay, 99.99999% guaranteed. Whatever the case, whatever you want to say. But it's there. We know now. We now know. Okay, moving on. After watching a podcast, number 12, after watching a podcast on Quark Zone that discussed the Sherman interview with the Kenmore brothers, follower Julia June emails images of the alien head that appears above the fence. Of course, yes, if it wasn't for Julia, I don't think I would have noticed it. In fact, Scott Roeder later on said he never noticed it either. We just didn't see it. Some of us out there just weren't seeing that thing above the fence. But again, when you go back to Angel's video, that's what he was trying to tell us to look at when he made that video last June. There's no question about it now. Like I said, if you look at that video, he says it's there. You can't really see it that good, but it's there. And the video starts right when that thing is showing up. It doesn't even start earlier. It's just a second earlier than that, right, is where you see that creature that Scott Roeder captured, that Scott Roeder identified last year. He doesn't start the video there. You don't even get to see that in the video that Angel put up on YouTube last year. No, he starts it right when that shadow creature shows up, because that's what he was trying to tell us to look for. That's what he was saying.
He told me to go inside the house. At this point, we all freaking out, me and my family. And here's the video where we were in the backyard area. You cannot see it too good, but on camera, but it's there. Here's the video.
And now, like Julia June had sent me that email message, and then I went and I looked at the video that I used to make my podcast about her information. I actually went back. I actually had the raw footage that Scott Roeder had sent me last year. I reviewed it. I saw it in there, so I made a video out of that, and that showed, that was where I first, for the first time, you could see, I did a looping video where you could see this thing moving into the screen over and over again. In fact, let's move on here. It says, number 13, a podcast published on March 28th, 2024, discussed the images presented by Julia June, as well as provided a looping video of the creature appearing behind the fence. And then on number 14, Scott Roeder reaches out on Friday, March 29th, 2024, and reports he has evidence that proves there is a strange non-human intelligent being that appears behind the fence. Working in conjunction with his assistant, Luis Castillo, who holds a doctorate in computer animation, Roeder proves that the creature used some type of cloaking technology that helps prevent cell phone cameras from video recording it. Scientific analysis of the footage shows that the cloaking technology used reduces the camera's capacity to film the creature by 66%. However, for a few brief milliseconds, the technology failed just enough to allow the camera to capture the creature's face. It is exactly as described by members of the Kenmore family.
What we've done is we've isolated a piece of the background, and inside of that yellow square is the tree branches that are above the fence. And then when we get to the other square, so bring that over, and that's off to the side. So we know that that's real. That's part of the environment. And now we've got the head that comes in with the smoke around it and the cloaking or whatever. And we've identified this same exact area that we identified before, same exact area, and then bring it up and compare it side by side and pause it there. This is not part of the background. This is an artifact that this being, through its technology, some kind of a lag in its cloaking device, in that because it's cloaking with whatever background it's in where it was before. And because this film that we're looking at here is only 0.8 of a second, there must have been some lag time between that cloaking technology transferring while it moves. So this, in this square here, does not belong to the background. This belongs directly to the shadow being that is projecting it from a different location. That's my hypothesis. But clearly it's an anomaly that doesn't belong there, and there is no earthly explanation for that to happen. So we used AI software to analyze all this, and inside of that yellow square right there, that kind of a weird shape there, there are a number of pixels, and those pixels have been diminished by 66%. It's a weird number, but that's the number that we got when we did the computer software analysis. These pixels have been deleted by 2/3. There's no explanation for that whatsoever, other than some sort of a force or technology or something that is interfering with the camera's ability to capture the image.
Now, there was something that Scott said, and also I said too afterward, is that maybe that the reason contra Kenmore was backing out of the yard wasn't because of the creature that her husband and sons were looking at approaching them, but because of the creature showing up by the fence. Now, somebody had pointed out to me that contra Kenmore said she never saw anything. So I had a question the other day wondering, are these beings able to make themselves invisible to the human eye as well? And maybe that's what's happened here. Maybe she didn't see it. She was just backing up because everyone else was backing up out of the yard. And maybe she didn't see the creature appearing over the fence. Maybe they didn't realize it was there until after they reviewed the video. Obviously, that's what must have happened, because Angel, that's what he was pointing out to us in his video last year, was the creature above the fence. And as we know, as Rotor's assistant Louis Castillo pointed out, there's shadows behind the openings in between the fence boards where you could that move in conjunction with the head. They're not shadows caused by the people moving out from the yard, from the family members. No, there was something that moves along with the head. That's what another thing that's Rotor and his Castillo have shown us.
And you see, it matches perfectly the motion of the shadow behind.
Yes, it does.
See, this little square here, it represents the motion of the foot, the leg.
That is so convincing to me. The motion of the leg, and I keep going like this is so critical, because you can clearly see through the slots in the fence that there is a leg motion moving from the right to the left side of the screen. And clearly it is behind there. So this isn't just like a head floating in space. This is a head of that is somehow that does not have full opacity. I think you previously determined that the opacity of the head of the shadow is only at about 33% opacity, versus a normal shadow, which would be at 100% opacity, or an object in the screen, which is at 100%. And this isn't anything that you did. It's just what you were able to determine, that this shadow being, or this being in the shadows, possibly creating its own shadow or smoky filter or cloaking technique, is not only cloaking itself from the people there, but cloaking itself from the camera itself, in that it's minimizing our ability to identify pixels inside of that shadow.
Exactly.
Okay, number 15. Rotor works over the next several days assembling his evidence. He provides this channel with the evidence, as well as releases his own, more complete version on his own podcast and YouTube channel. The evidence was released on April 2nd, 2024 by Rotor and this podcast. And by the way, actually, Scott Rotor on his YouTube channel and on Spotify, well, I believe on the YouTube version, it's a video version. That's a complete version of Scott's evidence. If you haven't seen it, you could check that out. There's a lot more. There was other things in there that he talked about that wasn't on my show, so you need to check that out as well if you haven't seen it yet. Of course, I'll leave the link in the description if you're interested, and I would check it out if you get a chance, please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to his channel, please. Because Scott Rotor, I mean, I feel like he has done some incredible work here. He is going to go down in history as a person who showed with scientific evidence that this event really occurred just as described by the family members. There's no doubt about it. Okay, number 16. The evidence has been largely well received by most people who have absorbed it. The proof meets the criteria set forth by debunker hero Carl Sagan. It's unquestionably extraordinary. There's no doubt about it, folks. This is extraordinary evidence, and it does meet the criteria that Sagan established. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I've shown this to people in my family, people who are very skeptical, some people who don't believe in it, and now they believe in it. They believe that there's something there. They believe that this is a true story now. There's a lot of people who I've heard from who thought this Vegas story was bunk, and they thought that I shouldn't even be covering it. Now they're saying otherwise. They believe that, no, you're right. I've received several messages like that. I've received a lot of hate. When you receive a lot of hate messages, right, you know you're on the right track. I have not received the kind of hate in the past as I have recently with this. And that tells me that I must have done something right. We are there. It's over. The evidence is here. There's no doubt about it. And then finally, number 17, it is shown that a picture taken in 2010 in Ohio of another apparent creature using cloaking technology was miraculously reduced by 66% of the camera's resolution capacity. I did a whole podcast on that last point, as we all know, afterward. That was with regard to Bruce Maccabee's wife, Jan, who was out hunting in 2010 in Ohio, and she saw something very strange. It looked like what she described as saran wrap moving from one tree to another. It was like Predator, like something out of the Predator movies from the 1980s. And she took a picture of it, but when Bruce Maccabee looked at that picture, it was reduced to an impossible figure, an impossible resolution that the camera did not offer, and it was 66% less than the top resolution that the camera offered. So I think that there's a connection there. Apparently, these beings have the ability to reduce their visibility by at least 66%. That's what it looks like to me. To me, this is extraordinary evidence, and it meets the claims set forth, no question about it, by the late Carl Sagan. I actually believe if Carl Sagan were still alive today, he would look at this evidence and he would not be able to deny it. And I want to impart that feeling out to the debunkers out there, the people who have been making fun of this over the decades. It's time to get off your high horse and join us down here in the world of reality, because as you can see now, this evidence shows once and for all that there is a presence among us, and there's a lot of questions that we have at this point, and it's time to move forward and not play any games anymore. So I believe that this does meet the criteria set forth by Sagan, and I think it's time to accept it and move on. And there's other questions now we need answered. Instead of the questions of, oh, is it real or isn't it real? Or there's no more wondering whether it's real or not, right? That's past us now. There's no wondering anymore. I wonder if it's true. It's true. It's true. It is true. There's something here. And are these the only beings? I don't know. I mean, if you look at the literature, I've read many books, and there's all kinds of descriptions of all kinds of creatures. These mantis creatures have been described a lot. They're usually people who get abducted are talking about creatures that look like this. They're usually the ones in charge during abduction events. That's all I could say about them. But there's been other kinds of encounters with other kinds of beings that look human, beings that look like reptiles. Apparently reptilians are part of this praying mantis insectoid group as well. Sometimes they're seen along with them. I don't really know. There's a lot of questions. There's other kinds of creatures too, all kinds of beings. I believe that this planet is being visited by all sorts of intelligent life on a regular basis. People or beings from other planets, intelligent life, are coming here, checking us out, and then moving on their merry way. But I don't think that's the case with these mantid kind of creatures. They seem like they've been here a long time now. What's going on? Are they living here now? Is that what this is about? Have they staked a claim? Are they going to boot us off at some point? There's a lot of questions I have. That's where we need to start now. We need to start asking those kind of questions. What is this all about? What do they want? Are they friendly? Are they here on friendly terms, or is it unfriendly terms? We need to know the answers to those questions. That's the next stage of this. Anyway, I want to move on. I want to talk about... I just want to point out, too, I do have some guests lined up. As I mentioned in the previous podcast, I do have Preston Dennis going to be joining us in 2 or 3 weeks from now. I'll have him on the show. Later on this week, I will have Julia June on the show. She's the person who contacted me. She's going to come on the show and talk about this incident and what she saw when she looked at this video, and how long she's been thinking about this, and what did she think about the evidence now. So we're going to get the chance to talk to her later this week. I can't wait. And also I have Jack Connor coming on by the end of the week from Cosmic Road. Of course, Jack does a great job. He's always updating us on everything. We're going to talk about the Peru alien corpses when he comes on, among other things. But I did mention to him I want to focus on that. He seems like he has the best grasp on that situation, more than anyone out there. So he's going to come on the show by the end of this week, and I do plan on getting some more guests on here as well. It's a very exciting time. I think this is we're moving forward. I feel strong now. I feel great about everything, and this evidence is going to be revealed to the public, the general public, as time goes on. I am certain of that. There's no doubt about it that this constitutes the extraordinary evidence that people have been talking about for a long time now. I think that this meets that criteria, no question about it, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I want to move on here. I want to talk about some of the I didn't update the Spotify poll, so it's time to do that. So I want to go back to the episode. The forces actively suppressing the extraterrestrial reality. I asked this question: do you acknowledge that there are forces actively working to suppress the extraterrestrial non-human intelligence reality? And there was 48 votes so far. 4 people, or 8.3%, say no, I'm dumb. And 44 people, or 91.7%, say yes, I'm smart. Yes, there's only only a handful of dummies out there. The rest of us are all smart, so that's good. That's a good thing, right? Most people, that's a good thing to know, that most people listening to my show are smart. And believe me, you are smart, because right now you are among a very small group of people who know for a fact that there's evidence out there that proves once and for all that there is an alien presence here. No doubt about it anymore. No doubt about it. Okay, moving on. For the episode, explosive new video evidence of Las Vegas aliens emerges. That was the episode that Julia June actually watched and then contacted me, and then was a snowball effect. Anyway, for that episode, I asked this question: does this new evidence further cement the Vegas alien story as an actual encounter between humans and non-human intelligences in your view? Now, again, that question was asked before Scott Roeder contacted me, and we did that Vindication Day episode. But there's 70 votes on this one so far. 28 people, or 40%, say no, while 42 people, or 60%, say yes. Of course, I'm with the yeses on this one. Of course. And I'm certain that probably some of the people who voted no would change their mind at this point. But maybe they don't want to. Maybe some people out there, they don't like being wrong, right? They just can't admit it. Right? I don't mind. I don't have a problem. When I'm wrong, I'll just admit it. As I recently showed that time and time again on here, by the way. Anyway, for the episode, The Flying Box, UFO Burns Teen's Hands, and Vegas Alien Update, I asked this question: who are the masterminds behind the mysterious flying box? Okay, there's 33 votes so far. 7 people, or 21.2%, say other. 8 people, or 24.2%, say humans. And 18 people, or 54.5%, say ET/NHI. I think it's NHI/ET myself. That was a story that happened in 1966. Where some kids saw some weird box land on the ground, and I don't think it was made by humans. That's just my opinion, doesn't make me right. But yeah, I go with the majority on that one. Okay, for It's Vindication Day, I asked this question: are you happy? Right, 99 votes so far. 34 people, or 34.3%, say no, while 65 people, or 65.7%, say yes. Of course, I'm with the majority. I'm happy because we got him, folks. We got him now. For the episode, Math Behind Vegas Alien Cloaking Tech Matches Similar 2010 Case, I asked this question: do you plan on sharing what you've learned about the Vegas alien story with skeptical family and friends? 27 people, or 44.3%, say no, while 34 people, or 55.7%, say yes. Of course, I'm one of the yeses. I've already done so. And I think over time, well, it's going to become a talking point in families during family dinners and family picnics as time goes on. People are going to talk about the Vegas alien case and how it proved once and for all that there's an alien presence among us. No doubt about it. Okay, for the most recent episode, who are they, where do they come from, and what do they want? I asked this question: which question is the most important to you? Okay, 8 people, or 14.8%, say the most important question to them is, where are they from? 11 people, or 20.4%, want to know, they think the most important question is, who are they? Who are they, right? And then the majority, 35 people, or 64.8%, say, what do they want? I think that most people are probably going to go with the what do they want, because that's what's going to concern the bottom line for all of us, I would imagine. But I believe all these questions are relevant. I mean, who are they? Where are they from? And what do they want? Of course, that was what Scott Roeder was saying when he presented his evidence last week on the show during the Vindication Day episode. So, yes, that's where I'm at with this as well. I would have to. Well, I don't know. I think I like all the questions are good, but if you're going to pick one, I think you might want to. The one I probably would go with would be, what do they want? I mean, we know that they're here. They're from somewhere. It's going to be all of those answers to those questions are most certainly going to be interesting and fascinating, no doubt about it, right? All the answers, but I guess the biggie is, what do they want? What do they want? A lot of us out there believe that they're here, that beings that are intelligent that come here are not here to do any harm to us. There are other people who believe otherwise. They think that they are here to do harm to us. I don't know. I think it could be a mixed bag. I think that, like I said, I believe some are here on friendly reasons. I mean, are these beings that were in Vegas, are they connected to the same beings that showed up at the Ariel school and talked about how technology is dangerous and it could prove dangerous? Are they all part of the same team? I have so many questions and there's no answers, and I'm not even sure if any of the governments of the world have all the answers on this. I don't know how they could. I mean, maybe they have some things that they could share with us, but I just don't know. I don't know. I have a lot of questions, no answers. But one thing I do know is I believe that this case, most certainly, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. You hear me out there, debunkers? You hear me? Are you looking at me? Think about this. No doubt about it now. You were wrong. The UFO community was right, and it is over. We have the extraordinary proof. We meet the Sagan criteria. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So it's time to change course. Time to change course. It's over. Over.
To me, I applied the same principles that I would apply to any kind of a homicide investigation, right?
Yes.
And you have to look at the totality of the evidence. And you're going to have debunkers that'll be like, well, but the shadow, it could be this, that, or the other. No, it cannot. And I want to open this up. Everything that we've done, I'm opening it up for peer review. Okay. Anybody out there with a degree in photography, anybody out there who's a qualified expert witness in video analysis like I am, anybody out there with a master's degree or higher in education in video analysis, video editing, photography, film development, computer animation, and so on and so forth, bring it on. Look at what I've put on my YouTube channel. Look at what Jim and I are going to talk about today. And I'm willing to hear what professionals in my field have to say about this and open it up. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But I think that the evidence at this particular time with what we've seen here is proof. Couple things, that these entities, both in the background and in the foreground behind the fence, are real. They're there. This is not fake. This is not a fraud. I guarantee it. 100%. These two items, these two beings are in the real world environment with the Kenmore family. That's a fact. It's an absolute fact. That is there, and the one in the background is there. 100%, beyond any reasonable doubt, these beings are there. Now, the question is, who are they? Where are they from, and what do they want? That's where the conversation goes after this presentation, Jim. The reality is confirmed. They're there. These people have experienced an extraterrestrial reality, interdimensional, whatever, whatever term you want to put on it. But these are non-human intelligent beings that are there in the real world. It's there. This is proof.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you all for joining me. Until next time.